Yo, welcome in, man. Today is April the 10th. Very special day. My son's birthday today, man. Shout out to my little man. He's 7 years old today. And welcome into the ChrisBeCappinn Show. That's also what we're here for, right? We only have, I think it's 5 games on the board in the NBA today. It's not a lovely slate in my opinion. I was going through it yesterday. It was like, these games don't really matter. You start to see teams rule players out. I'll just be honest with you guys. I got one play that I locked in so far. A couple things that's on the short list. And we'll jump into all of that. Let's go through a quick recap as we always do. First up, last night, Magic were easy, right? Easy win there. +3, no matter if you, waited, took the -7. This line move, I think I got 10 points of COV. And it still cashed. They beat the Boston Celtics after everybody was ruled out by 20. So I was thinking about this last night. Helpful tip, especially for new people that don't have a lot of experience sports betting. When you see a team go to overtime, you typically want to jump on the opponent team, especially if they got motivation. But also, if you want to take the other number, because I know a lot of people, not a lot, but a couple people came in yesterday. They said, Chris, I think that's too many points to lay with Orlando. I'm taking Boston +4. Boston ended up being like, +9, +8.5, because you got to wait until the injury report comes out. Then you would have got a better number. It wouldn't have cashed, but you would have got a better number. So just some things to kind of take into consideration. That was the only thing that I played yesterday. I think the short list did pretty well. I know Denver won the first quarter. The Lakers were also a winner. Went into Dallas last night. Luka had a big game. His points went up and over. We talked about that on the show yesterday. The Lakers were, I think, -4, won that game by 15 points yesterday. That was an easy winner. Toronto got the job done against Charlotte, beat them by 30. And I wasn't touching Philly and Washington, but I definitely wasn't playing Washington. So that's the recap for yesterday. We'll go through a couple comments real quick, and then we'll get into jaXon's and see what jaXon likes today. G. Hurd says, I think that you could make a team of 5 from the chat that could have beat Boston yesterday. My goodness, love the easy W with the Magic. Yeah, that was an easy one. What up, Chad? Says Magic was easy, but how about the Warriors? Like, wow, them dudes will mess up a wet dream. Yeah, the Warriors did wet the bed last night. That hurt me a little bit because I got the Warriors to make the playoffs, and they are not in the greatest position after losing to the Spurs last night on a Harrison Barnes game winner. That's pretty bad. Let's see what else we send in the chat. What up, Will? Says, what up though, Chris? Happy birthday to your son. It's my daughter's birthday as well. Let's make today great. Happy birthday to Lil Will Jackson, man. Appreciate you, Will. Happy birthday to your daughter, man. Hope she has a great day. My son is destined to have a great day. I think that's how you feel. What up, Justin? Appreciate you for tapping in. We're going to talk about this one, Chad. We're actually going to talk about it first. Appreciate you, Justin. Appreciate that for sure. What up, for real? Appreciate you for tapping in. Smeezy, good morning, bro. Says happy birthday to my little man. Appreciate that. Rashida, appreciate you for tapping in as well. What up, dropping down? Says ChrisBeCappinn Jr. about to turn up at the casino. Nah, we not, man. Actually, it was like 2 minutes away from a casino last week when I was on vacation. Didn't even go because I had him with me, but yeah, I appreciate the B-Day love. What up, Sean? Appreciate you for tapping in. Good morning, Jose. Yeah, let's get into it for today. So we'll start off with jaXon, as we always do. Today was a very simple prompt. jaXon is an AI sports betting handicapping tool, homie, partner, whatever you want to call it. Just somebody that can help you with your analysis that takes a lot of time. Something that can help you with your analysis that takes a lot of time away from the research that you would need. So today's prompt, jaXon was off yesterday. jaXon, like Kobe White, up and over his points plus rebounds at 25.5. And he finished like just 5 for 14 from the field. I think he only had he was 0 for 5 from 3, only had like I think 18 points and 4 rebounds. So he did miss the number or something like that. I know it was a miss, so he didn't get there. So jaXon needs to be a little bit better today. I thought it was a pretty good look, even against the Miami Heat defense, but it was Josh Giddey again. Josh Giddey went crazy again last night, had the triple-double, and they did beat the Miami Heat last night. So today, jaXon, like, same thing, player prop, top 10 last games. jaXon actually likes Ja Morant up and over his 25.5 points versus the Timberwolves tonight. And it says, here's why it's a standout pick. The last 10 games, he's hit this line. Ja scored 26 or more in 9 of his last 10 games. He's averaging 30.5 points. during that stretch. Over his last 5 games, he's maintained an 80% hit rate as well, averaging 28.4. The Timberwolves do present a pretty tough matchup. They're third in defense against points versus the point guard position, which is a tough matchup. However, Morant's recent form, his high usage rate, makes him a strong candidate to overcome his this challenge here. So jaXon does like Ja Morant to keep it going tonight at the crib in a very meaningful game. Ja Morant up and over 25.5. Check jaXon out. There's a link in the description if you're interested in checking it out. Even if you don't want to sign up, you can get 5 free prompts per month. So check jaXon out. Let's get into it for today. It's only one game that I really like, and I never do this, but I'm kind of skipping around slate to get things started because I want to go through this first game, the game that I think that only has a lot of important meaning here. The most important game, I guess, on the slate is this Minnesota and Memphis game. Very intriguing game. And I sent out, I bet the under. I'm on the under, just to go ahead and, get rid of the suspension here. Going through the slate yesterday, I'm like, I don't really like any of these games, but this is the one that kind of stood out to me the most. I'll talk about the side in just a second because I do have a pretty strong opinion on the side, even though I haven't played it yet. And my opinion on the total is it opened at 234, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like that's a pretty high total for a Memphis game. For a Minnesota game. Minnesota, we know, typically plays under games. And then I think about the implications of this game, thinking that both of these teams are going to come out and play, pretty hard. At least in my opinion, I think that they are. So I put in the write-up yesterday. I like the way that Memphis, and real quick, let me just pull this up so I can give you guys some numbers to go with it because I didn't write all of it down in my handicap or my notes yesterday. But pretty much what I was saying in the handicap is that I like the way that Memphis has been defending the three-point line. Minnesota takes a bunch of threes, of course, on the full season. They're 6th in frequency, 5th in accuracy. Last 5 games, they're 7th in frequency, but 19th in accuracy. So they're not shooting a three-point shot as well. Only 34.7% in their last 5 games. And Memphis has not been a great three-point defense. Don't get it twisted. On the full season, they're about middle of the pack. They're allowing teams to shoot about 37%, 16th in opponent frequency, 16th in opponent three-point accuracy as well. But when I look at Memphis recently, all of a sudden, they're 11th in opponent three-point frequency. They're running teams off the three-point line, and they're also 14th in opponent three-point accuracy. And where Minnesota shoots a lot of their three-point shots is in their corner three. They're 6th in frequency, 5th in accuracy in the last 5 games. On the full season, they're 5th in frequency, 9th in accuracy as well. So Minnesota is a team that takes a lot of corner threes. Dante DiVincenzo, Anthony Edwards, Naz Reid, pretty much everybody except Rudy Gobert. And I like the way that Memphis is defending the three-point line. In their corner three specifically, they're 7th in opponent three-point frequency. So they're running teams off that corner three-point shot. Not that great defensively as far as accuracy-wise, but I do think that they can run Minnesota off the three-point line in this game. So that was the first point. Both teams are ramping up their defense as they head into the playoffs. Both of these teams are 3-0 to the under in their last 3 games. I also like that Minnesota is playing at the second slowest pace in their last 5 games. And Memphis is also top 10 in defensive rating in their last 5 games as well, which kind of stood out to me because I hadn't really thought about Memphis too much as a defensive team. But since they fired Taylor Jenkins, they have been playing a little bit more defense. Last 5 games, they're actually the 5th rated defensive team in the last 5 games and number 1 in opponent effective field goal percentage. They're also not giving up a ton of offensive rebounds, which is Minnesota is 2nd at offensive rebound percentage. So that should take away some looks as well. You add into the fact that, like I said, Minnesota is playing at the second slowest pace. I just feel like this game goes under, man. It's a very long, detailed explanation, but I do like the under. I like it quite a bit. Also, playoff implications. This is number 7 versus number 8. So I do think you'll see a little bit more effort, potentially with the winner of this game. They will get the head up, as far as with a couple games left to go. But I feel like it's an under game. I think both of these teams will play hard. 233.5 is what I got last night. I thought that number was a tad bit too low. I feel like when I woke up this morning, first thing I did was check. I always check the lines as soon as I wake up in the morning. When I checked this morning, I think there was a 233.5 still available, but it's starting to tick down, and I'm happy. I'm thankful. Doesn't mean that it's going to cash, but we have a point of CLV. It looks like it's down to 232.5 on most books. You can still get a 233 on some of the smaller books like Bet Rivers and Bally Bet if you have access to those sports books. But yeah, I think that's a tad bit too high. So that's my thought process as far as the total goes. As far as the side, I do think that Minnesota is the better team. I do think that Minnesota wins the game. A lot of what I was reading last night was I just wanted to kind of figure out the psychological aspect of Minnesota dropping the game against the Bucks the way that they did. And a lot of it was like, let's not panic, let's not overreact. We can't let this game bleed into the other game. So I kind of agree with that. I do think that you have to have a very short memory in that aspect, and I think that is going to be helpful. Coach Chris Finch says something along the lines of we just kind of froze up. We didn't move the ball. We just over surveyed. When we did make the pass in the middle of the floor, it was late. Then it was turnover. He pinpointed that the Bucks switched to a zone defense as a disruptor, citing poor spacing and lack of ball movement as the culprit behind the offensive implosion. And I kind of agree with all of that. For people who don't know what I'm talking about, they were winning this game by, I think, 19, 20 points. They lost the game by, I think, 8 or 9. And it was like a 39-8 run or something like that is what the Bucks finished on. Timberwolves definitely should have won that game. As far as also what Coach Finch said, he says, I have every confidence that we'll bounce back. We've got good guys. They'll shake it off. We had some tough losses before in the season. We didn't expect to go undefeated over the last 10 games. Anthony Edwards said it was hard for every last one of us in that game to get a good look when they went zone. It messed us up. Big shout out to Milwaukee. We good. I mean, it's part of the game. Of course, we didn't want to lose, but we can't be in bad spirits because we need to get the next game. So we can't think too much about this one. It happened. So, and I kind of agree with all of that. Dante DiVincenzo, I think, was the first person to kind of speak in the locker room after the game. I just feel like Minnesota is a better overall team than Memphis, and Memphis also lost Jalen Wells in that last game, so now they're even a little bit more shorthanded in this one. Yeah, I just feel like they're a better team, but I ain't gonna lie to you guys. Minnesota scares the living hell out of me when it comes to clutch time shots in like fourth quarter. They're not a good executing team in the fourth quarter. Like way too many clutch games. Anthony Edwards is taking this, heroic type shot and then it doesn't go in. Whether they go to overtime or they end up losing the game overall. Like as much as I want to take Minnesota and I think that they're the right side, I think I want to play Memphis. I mean, I think I want to play just the total and stay off of that. But that's my thought process on the game. Just not even looking at it from anything else. I think Minnesota is the right side of this game. Let's see what you guys are thinking about this one. Yeah, the Warriors hurt a lot of people last night, Steve. Didn't hurt me, but I do got them to make the playoffs, and they put themselves in a really stupid position last night by losing that game because they own the tiebreaker over Memphis, I think. So they need Memphis to lose as well. Let's see. Justin agrees. He says Timberwolves plus 1.5 in his pocket. And I'll say this about the line movement. I think this is important to note as well. So Memphis opened as a 1-point dog. I think it was. They were actually Memphis opened as a 1-point favorite. The line flipped immediately to Minnesota. And then it flipped back to Memphis again. And I saw Memphis go all the way to, just like Justin said, plus 1.5. And now it's flipped back to Memphis, but it's come down to a pick on most books. So these are the type of games where you can make a lot of money just by, because you just really need the team to win. You bet the money line, you get the plus 1.5. I think I think Minnesota is a little bit more of a complete team than Memphis. I'm scary about them. They scare me in the fourth quarter. So that's my thought process there. I love it. Says thank you, Luca. Luca went crazy, man. Shout out to Luca, man. Yeah, they do. I don't know about the Timberwolves, but I know that they own the tiebreaker over the Grizzlies. I want to say, I want to say they definitely do. Let me just double check real quick because I looked into it this morning. So the Timberwolves, let's see. They own the tiebreaker over the Clippers and the Warriors. The Timberwolves do. A loss tonight could drop them to number 10, where they would face number 2 if they win the play-in. Grizzlies clinch top 6. They own the tiebreaker over the Timberwolves. So, the Timberwolves need this game a lot more because Memphis does own the tiebreaker over them. So, you don't want to finish. You lose this game, pretty much Minnesota doesn't have a chance. So, that's helpful. I'm glad you even asked me to look at that. So we don't have William Hill here. Come on, we have BetMGM though, and I do use BetMGM for sure. Yeah, if they got the best line. BetMGM be having a little juice though. I love it. Says he likes the under as well. Will says he took the under in T-Wolves last night. I watched him in an interview after the fourth quarter meltdown, and he consistently spoke about how this is the biggest game of the season. Yeah, it's not like Memphis not going to bring it. Like Minnesota going to have to be locked in for 4 quarters, but I think this is the spot that you want to play on Memphis though. Like Minnesota. This is the spot that you want to play on Minnesota when they're not out there lollygagging. Like when you get punched in the face like that, and the same thing for the Warriors. Just FYI, the Warriors. Who do the Warriors play next? The Warriors had that big meltdown. They play Portland. I'm probably going to be on Golden State in the trifecta spot tomorrow. Just FYI. First quarter, first half, full game tomorrow because they can't be playing around with their food. After you get punched in the mouth, you typically respond. Good teams typically do. And the Minnesota Timberwolves, in my opinion, are a good team. Dom says he'll go Wolves first quarter. I like it. I like it a lot. Taz says you don't think the Grizzlies are starting to flow and find their tie? They beat the Timberwolves twice this season. I do, and that's one of the reasons why I haven't bet it yet. So when I look into the game real quick, I wanted to talk about the Grizzlies because you're right, Chad. They have been a little bit better recently, but I can kind of poke holes in some of these wins. Right? They beat the Heat by 2, and I don't even know if the Heat are good or not. Maybe the Heat are good; they just can't beat the Bulls. They beat the Pistons, right? This was without Cade. We were on them in that spot, right? Yeah, we were on them in that spot. They beat the Pistons and they beat the Hornets. I can't give them so much credit. The Pistons have been, slacking a little bit as well. I think Timberwolves need this one a little bit more. Not that they don't. I understand. You can make a case for both sides, which is why I'm not on the spread. But I want to be on Minnesota here rather than Memphis. What up, G421? Kawan says he feels under. James says Memphis money line, Ja 25. Okay. Hey, don't let me talk y'all off. Y'all bet what y'all like, man. Bet what y'all like. Marquis says rise and grind community. I'm betting on OT for this game. This will be a dogfight. Okay. Grizzlies had a much harder schedule. I mean, it's not that much harder. I looked into that already. It's not that much harder. Grizzlies have played the 5th strongest strength of schedule in their last 5 games, but against who? Who have the Grizzlies? I mean, I know that they lost a couple games in a row against some really good teams. They lost to the Celtics. They lost to the Warriors. Lost to the Thunder. Lost to the Lakers. They beat the Jazz. But, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think it's really been that difficult. And I know you're right. It's a little bit easier. Minnesota has played the 15th strongest strength of schedule. So about middle of the pack there. So yeah, I don't know. It's a coin flip type of game. I just think I like under a little bit more. I think Ja definitely pulling out a rocket launcher or some kind of, probably won't be a grenade tonight, but Ja probably got something in store for the people for sure. He's really embraced this villain role for sure. Lover says Rudy Gobert boards. I thought about taking Edie under because I do think Rudy Gobert gets the better of him tonight, but I'll stay off of that. All right, let's go through the games that I don't care anything about. So the Knicks and the Pistons, the reason why the Detroit is laying, this actually got up to 5. Now it's come back down to 4.5. And I thought, I'm not laying points with the Pistons. Now they do have the motivation. They have been absolutely getting slapped around. Detroit has reverted back to not playing any defense, as we saw in that last game against the Sacramento Kings. Sacramento came in there. I think I was reading this morning that Sabonis, Zach LaVine, and DeRozan combined for 99 points. Just when we thought Detroit was a good defensive team and was going to be out here, kind of making a statement, they reverted back into a really poor defensive team. They're 21st in defensive rating in their last 5 games. They have played the third strongest strength of schedule. Offensively, they're starting to slip a little bit, kind of having pieces in and out. Isaiah Stewart is questionable for this one. Tobias Harris is listed as probable. Cade is listed as probable. And then on the other side, the Knicks will be shorthanded without Mitchell Robinson, without Josh Hart, without OG Anunoby today. Those guys will be out. So I kind of thought that this would open about 3.5, 4. And it did. It opened 4.5, I think is where it opened. Went up to 5. And now it's coming back down to 4.5. And I have no idea. So I'll start by saying this. I screenshotted this yesterday from the beat writers from the Knicks. I just want to make sure I give it to you guys correct. The Knicks do need to win. The Knicks lose. If the Knicks lose their final 2 games and the Pacers win their final 2 games, which we'll talk about the Pacers in just a second, Indy does jump in front of in front of New York for the 3rd seed. So we got to kind of, I don't know, is Thibodeau playing his hand right here? I'm not sure. I know that the Knicks are still playing really good basketball. I know that they're coming off an overtime game. I know that they're going to be shorthanded. Detroit going to have to show it to me now, though. Like, I just kind of feel like it's not enough. I almost bet them last game against Sacramento, thinking that it was a nice bounce back spot. But you're going to have to show me a little bit. I feel like you got to show me if you Detroit. That's just how I kind of feel about it. I also wrote in my notes, magic number for the number 3 seed is 1 win for the New York Knicks. And they play Detroit. Then they play Cleveland. It is the first leg of a back-to-back. They got Cleveland tomorrow, the Bucks tomorrow, and then I think they finish off with Brooklyn. Or they need the Pacers to lose, which I don't think the Pacers are losing tonight. Detroit does have the rest advantage. Like I said, the Knicks are coming off an overtime game against the Celtics where they lost. And I just don't feel too strongly about. I feel like the spread is about where it should be. Even with the Knicks, being shorthanded, they still gonna have Jalen Brunson out there. Karl-Anthony Towns is still gonna play, and the Pistons still got to, like I said, they got to show me on the defensive end. Defense has been really, really poor as of late, and Brunson kind of getting back into form. So that's my thought process on this game. I did not bet it, and we'll see. I also kind of feel like, if I'm being honest, I kind of feel like the Pistons do this manipulation with the injury report as well. They need Isaiah Stewart. As much as he's a meathead, they kind of need him to pause. They kind of need him for defense. Like, he's a pretty good defender. He's a pretty good rebounder. Tobias Harris, we see him listed as probable all day. Then all of a sudden he pops up on the injury report. Cade Cunningham being downgraded to doubtful and then being out. Like, I kind of need to see what happens with the injury report in this game. But no Mitchell Robinson, no Josh Hart, no OG Anunoby, and I still don't want to lay the points with Detroit here. That's my thought process. Let's see. Appreciate you, Jesus. Appreciate that for sure, bro. Thinking Cade under 26.5. Not sure. That's one thing I wouldn't be betting on. As much as the Pistons been trash, Cade had 35. Cade had 35 against Sacramento the other day. And one thing we know about the Knicks, that pick and roll defense is not that great, man. Pick and roll defense for the Knicks is not that great. Now you're gonna subtract, 2 of their best defenders, OG Anunoby and Josh Hart. I wouldn't be betting on Cade to go under. Matter of fact, just because you said that, let's take a little trip over. Let's go over to Outlier. 7-day free link trial in the description of the video. I feel like Cade has had really good games, specifically against the Knicks. Excuse me, because they play that drop coverage. They're not a good team against the pick and roll. Let's see. Yeah, Cade has had 22, 29, and 36 points. I wouldn't be betting on Cade to go under. Would not be betting on Cade to go under today. Let's see. Players, games, Knicks, Cavs. Excuse me. Excuse me, I can't. K's name's not popping up for some reason. We ran into this problem yesterday too. I'm not sure why. But yeah, I just looked it up. Cade is he cooks the Knicks religiously, so I wouldn't be betting on Cade to go under, but that's just my thought process. No Cade unders for this better if I'm betting on that game. All right, let's go back through the rest of the comments, get over to the next one. Pistons look sluggish after the first half. Yeah, they had a big lead too. AOD says need to rest up for the playoffs. I don't know why Cade is playing. I think they're trying to get him back into a rhythm, honestly. Jay Hester says Detroit basketball. Justin likes Brunson. I would be playing on Brunson as well. What up, Adam? Appreciate you for tapping in, bro. Good morning, helping hands. Brian, good morning, bro. He says not quite a trifecta, but the Lakers smash. I like the Pistons here early, first half. It makes sense for them to come out and punch first in this game, especially with the Knicks having a little bit of different rotation. I couldn't agree with that. Adam says ugly slate. No bets, all ears. Dom says Pistons team total up and over. G421 says he don't like the Pistons bench. If they play, he on the Knicks. Okay. What up, King Predictions? Tariq says, good, Chris. Good morning, Chris. The Knicks were banking on winning against Boston for this. Give me Detroit. Okay. James says Pistons -5. Their last two games against the Bucks. They can still get the 5th seed. Everybody want to avoid Boston. I would definitely be one to avoid Boston. Yeah, that ain't what you want right now. It's not what you want. I can't wait for the playoffs, man. Can't wait to do playoff preview shows. I'm really looking forward to playoff preview shows. Really looking forward to it. What up, GLB? Hope all is well with you, bro. Shopaholic says, what's up, Chris? Edie points and rebounds over for the Grizzlies game. He likes the over. So we're on the opposite side. Not the the greatest confidence. Like, it's not like, oh, I love this play the most, but I did bet it. Nicholas says Cade and Brunson both good matchups here. Like it's slightly more than Brunson though. Haven't played Cade yet. Yeah, I think the look on Cade I think is good because Bridges is not as good of a defender in my opinion, and the Pistons are going to put the Knicks in a lot of pick and roll situations where Jalen Brunson is going to have to defend Cade, and that's not a good matchup for Jalen Brunson. That's my thought process. What up, Mark? Hope all is well with you, bro. Appreciate you for tapping in as always. TC Best says, what up, Chris? Happy birthday to your son. I'm on Cade over his points and assists. I like it. I couldn't talk you off. I think the pace in this game could slow down. I know the Pistons will want to try to play fast, but the Knicks will slow it down. Knicks are 25th in pace. Detroit is playing a little bit slower. I know going into that game against the Kings, they were, I think, top 5. They're 12th right now in their last 5 games. So, and I guess to give Detroit a little bit of credit, their strength of schedule, they have played a tough strength of schedule last 5 games. They actually played the 3rd strongest strength of schedule, have the Detroit Pistons. Who have they played against? Detroit just lost to the Kings. They lost to the Grizzlies. They beat the Raptors by 8. They lost to the Thunder, lost to the Timberwolves. Then before that, they beat the Spurs and they beat the Cavs. So yeah, just kind of Jekyll and Hyde right now, man. Kind of Jekyll and Hyde. Mark says he'll play small play on Detroit as well. Adam says Detroit team total over maybe. I'm not sure, man. I am not sure honestly about this game. I will say the total has moved up. It opened 224.5. It's up to 227.5. So I'm not sure. I probably won't end up betting it if I'm being honest. Let's go next one. We got the Cavs and the Pacers. This line open, I think 8.5, 9. Yeah, 8.5. Went to 9, went to 9.5, come back down to 9, it looks like. Total has moved up from 229.5 to up to 232.5. So the Cleveland Cavaliers have clinched the number 1 spot. This game is meaningless for them, which is why they really didn't want to talk about it. They've already ruled out Strus, Mobley, Garland, and Mitchell. So who does that leave in? Just Jared Allen, I think. And then the rest of the guys will be DeAndre Hunter will still play, and some of their other bench guys will still be out there. Isaac Okoro will be out there. And then on the Pacers side of things, I think Ben Shepherd is the only person listed as questionable. The Pacers do need to win because, like I said, they are neck and neck with the Knicks for who's going to finish in the third seed. So the Knicks currently are 2 games up on the Pacers. So the Knicks I think care more about the game tomorrow, which is why they're resting guys today. But I could be wrong. Who knows? As far as this game goes, though, when I was looking into it, like I said, not the most interested in it, but one thing that stood out to me was I don't think I realized that the Pacers have actually been playing some pretty good basketball. And Cleveland not caring about this game automatically makes me think probably Pacers team total up and over. When I went through and looked at it, I know the Pacers were laying, like 400 points against the Wizards and barely won that game by 6 the other day. But the Pacers are playing some pretty good basketball, and there's some matchup advantages in this game, especially with Cleveland kind of, like not caring about the game. Cleveland also just not been playing great recently. I know that they beat the Bulls in that last game, but the Bulls have rested everybody. Cleveland, I think, is something like 4-8 against the spread in their last 12 games. It's a meaningless game here. The Pacers are number 8 in offensive efficiency, number 4 in defensive efficiency. So second best efficiency team-wise in the last 5 games. They're plus 11. Now, I got to take that with a grain of salt because they have played the easiest strength of schedule in their last 5 games. That's what happened when you play against the Wizards. But the Cavs don't, I think they're just going to go out here and be going through the motions. Defensively, they've been absolutely terrible recently. And I think the way that the Pacers want to score the basketball, the Cleveland Cavaliers will struggle to guard those shot zones specifically. And what I'm talking about is the mid-range shot and in the paint. The Pacers are 9th in paint frequency, 3rd in paint accuracy last 5 games. Long mid-range and all mid-range shots, same thing. Pacers are top 10 in both, top 5 actually in accuracy. And I think Cleveland just going to be going through the motion. So I don't know if I want to lay the 9 points. It's a pretty big number. And the Pacers do this thing where, they don't always take care. They don't always do what they're supposed to do, especially when they're laying a big number. And I can see them looking on the other side and saying, you know what? Cavs aren't playing their guys. We can kind of coast through this game. Next thing you know, they're down by 10 at halftime, and they're kind of struggling to win the game, and they need a big fourth quarter. This is what the Pacers do. But I do think that they score in this game. So team total up and over, I think it's 120.5 is the way that I would look. I just wouldn't trust the Cleveland Cavaliers defense, expecting the game to be played with pace, even with the Cavaliers having some of their guys being out. They're still 9th in pace. The Pacers are 10th in pace over their last 5 games respectively. So I would lean probably just Pacers team total up and over, thinking that they could score in this game. Let's see what the thought processes are here about this one. I could, you know what, KB? I couldn't talk. So I don't want to hold the show up, especially by going back to a game. But Detroit has actually, as good of a rebounding team as Detroit had been, Detroit's not a good rebounding team right now. They're actually giving up the 3rd most offensive rebounds in their last 5 games coming into the week. So the Knicks, it makes sense what you're saying. No OG, pretty good rebounder. No Josh Hart, pretty good rebounder. Knicks Pistons need the game a little bit more, coming off a couple losses in a row. I think they're 1-4 in their last 5 games. It makes sense that they kind of, try to lock in on the defensive glass in this game and use that to their advantage. So I couldn't talk you off, KB. I actually like that angle a lot, even though that they've been struggling recently on the boards. What else y'all saying here? Taylor says, trying to create a baby parlay to sweat tonight. Got any confident picks I could add today? No, I'm not a parlay guy. Not a parlay guy. Justin says he played over. I got it at 230. Got a little couple points of CLV. I like it. I like it a lot. I do think that Cleveland will also be able to contribute. I agree with that. Yeah, man, it's my son's birthday today. Appreciate you, G421. 7 years old, man. Where did the time go? 2018 felt like it was yesterday. I was running 640 miles and, trying to work on my backflip. And I'm just kidding. I wasn't doing backflips. What up, Brian? Appreciate you for tapping in. Dom says he likes Pacers team total over as well. Appreciate you, Mark. The Pacers are at home. I love this. The Pacers are at home. Cleveland is on the road. Dom says national TV game as well. Tawan says he's thinking Pascal Siakam gets 7 boards. I could see it. Could definitely see it. It's interesting. Cleveland, we'll save this for the previous show. interesting for Cleveland. Cleveland's not the greatest rebounding team. To have Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, they're not a good rebounding team, and it might just be because their guards aren't good rebounders. Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland are smaller guards, so maybe that has something to do with it. The Pacers aren't the greatest rebounding team either, but Cleveland not a good rebounding team. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we get into the preview shows, though. What up, PZ? Appreciate you for tapping in. Dom says also think the Pacers are shooting for a 50-win season. I wouldn't be, just because they're shooting for a 50-win season don't mean they need to win by 10, but I agree. I do agree. I see Circa dropping this down to 8.5 right now too, so money coming in on Cleveland in this spot. Pacers win, same situation with Orlando yesterday when they played half of the Boston team. I like the trifecta with the team total over. Okay. Siakam isn't on the injury report, Adam. I didn't see him on the injury report. Justin also likes Hallie to get 10 assists, minus 137. Just added that. Couldn't talk you off. GLB got a system for us here. He says since last season, games this late into the regular season with a total of 227 or greater, 13-3 to the over. If you just look at since last season, regular season, game numbers greater than 80 with a total that's greater than or equal to 227. I like it, GLB. What up, Vaughn? Shout out to RVA, man. This is heavy on Ty Jerome. His numbers without Garland or Mitchell is good tonight. Okay. Yeah, shout out UVA. Shout out UVA, Ty Jerome. Okay, I like it. All right, let's go to, I was planning on skipping these games, to be honest. I was just going to do the other games and talk about all these ones because I didn't care about these ones. But we actually still got 2 left. So let's try to speed it up, be a little bit quicker. Atlanta and Brooklyn, I think the look here would have probably been the over. I didn't bet it, but Atlanta games just always go over, right? They don't play any defense, and the only thing that held me up was the injury report for Brooklyn. No D'Lo, no Cam Johnson. I sometimes I struggle to wonder where the points are going to come from for Brooklyn, but Atlanta only plays in overs. Their defense is absolutely atrocious. They can't guard anybody. And they, of course, play with a lot of pace. So, yeah, it probably been over. I didn't get the best of the numbers, so I'm probably going to stay off of it. This opened 226.5. It's all the way up to 230.5. So it's even moved a point since the show started because I literally just made the graphics right before the show. The Hawks are 7-2-1 to the over in their last 10 games. They just gave up 119 to the Orlando Magic. That's pretty hard to do. The Magic aren't a great offensive team. Utah scored 134. The Knicks scored 121. The Dallas Mavericks scored 120. Portland scored 127. Milwaukee scored 124. The Miami Heat scored 122. The Houston Rockets scored 121. The Philadelphia 76ers scored 119 points. So I don't feel like I need to say anymore, and I do think that they're going to be able to score against Brooklyn. So even with the total moving 4 points, we probably should just take the over, and that would be my thought process in this game. Brooklyn's also played in a couple overs, even though their offense is terrible. 5 of their last 6 games have actually gone over the total. And the only under came against the Minnesota Timberwolves, a very, very slow-paced team. That total was 218.5. So, I'll probably be looking towards an over. Didn't bet the game, though. It is the first leg of a back-to-back for Brooklyn. They got a game in Minnesota tomorrow. Atlanta has a game in Philly tomorrow, so no real look-ahead spot there. Not laying this many points with Atlanta on the road. That wasn't even the thought process in my head. Atlanta does need to win, but they don't need to cover this game. They're half a game behind the Magic right now, half a game ahead of the Miami Heat as well. So some things to there may be a full game ahead of Miami. Let me just double check. Game and a half ahead of the Miami Heat right now. Only a half a game ahead of Chicago for the HC. Chicago is in 9th, half a game behind the Atlanta Hawks. So that's my thought process on that one really quick. Let's see. Tawan says Atlanta has not been good. Only total over. I feel I never know with them, and I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Atlanta double digits. I might take a stab at Brooklyn money line sprinkle. I don't know if they're gonna have the personnel in this one, but I will say these two teams just matched up, right? Like not too long ago, Brooklyn beat them outright, 122-114 back on March the 16th, so less than a month ago. Brooklyn has covered, it looks like 8 straight spreads against the Atlanta Hawks. 8 straight spreads the Brooklyn Nets have covered. Both games so far this season they covered. They were getting 6.5 and 7, and they covered both of the games. Both games did go over 224 and 228 as well. And Brooklyn they had Cam Johnson in that game. They didn't have D'Lo though. So yeah, I mean it's gonna be pretty much the same players. It was Cam Johnson, no D'Lo, no Cam Thomas. So yeah, I wouldn't be laying this many points for Brooklyn against anybody, if I'm being honest. So that's my thought process. Atlanta plays down to their competition, Adam says. To this point from Adam, let's just double check this real quick. Let's look at the Hawks laying double digits. They are 2-0 straight up, 1-1 against the spread. They're 2-0 to the over. They were laying double digits against the Sixers. That game went over to 40.5 about 2 weeks ago. And then they were laying double digits against the Jazz, and they pushed. They ended up not covering that game. They were 13.5, and they won the game by 13. So, yeah, I'm not laying this many points. It's also the first time all season they've laid this many points on the road as well. So no way I'm laying this many with the Hawks, but it makes sense. The Nets are not that good. Hawks is a road favorite, are 3-6 against the number, win by an average of 3 points per game. They have They have 3 wins by double digits on the season as a road favorite. They beat the Hornets by 32. They beat the Wizards by 14. And they beat the Pelicans by 15 back all the way on November the 3rd. So take with that information, do what you want. Tariq says Hawks score today, take their team total up and over. Brooklyn first quarter, first full game for Brian. Says like the points here. Brooklyn plus 13.5 for Jimmy. Brooklyn is famous for playing spoiler and still in the game. That's a fact. They are. They absolutely are. Absolutely are. So yeah, I'll probably be looking towards Brooklyn here as well if I'm playing the spread, but I want nothing to do with this game. Wish you guys the best endeavors. Last game is the Pelicans and the Bucks. This is the 1-800 gambler game. Like I don't think we really need to go through this one. The only thing that I will say, Pelicans. So we'll go through the injury report. Pat Connaughton is questionable. Bobby Portis did just come back. Hawkins is listed as out for the Pelicans. Jose Alvarado is questionable. Bruce Brown is questionable. Kelly Olynyk is already ruled out. Misi is also listed as questionable. So 3 or 4 of the starters for this Pelicans team are all on the injury report, and that's why they're getting 15.5 points in this game. They did just lose to the Bucks. I think they lost that game by close to double digits. That was without Giannis. Bucks won the second leg of a back-to-back, but the Bucks also can play around with their food. The Bucks are also coming off a game where they had to give it everything that they had. Exerted a lot of energy in that last game. Still gonna be, without Damian Lillard in this spot as well. So it's an easy skip for me. I didn't even look into the total, if I'm being honest. I see that it opened. Let's see what it opened at. I think it opened at 221. And it's up to 222.5. So I guess a little bit of money coming in on the over. I'm not laying 15.5 points with the Bucks though, and I don't really want the Pelicans either. Real quick, let's just go through and look at the Pelicans are 6-2-2 against the spread in their last 10 games. They've been losing, but they've been covering. Only 3-7 against the number, 3-7 straight up. But they are 6-2-2 against the number. They've actually covered. They're 3-1-1 against the number in their last 5 games. They play Miami tomorrow back at home. The Bucks have the Pistons tomorrow as well in Detroit. That's a much more meaningful game. The Bucks have been covering, but they haven't been laying this big of a number. They did cover against the 76ers, though. Beat the 76ers by 13. They were laying 11.5. They've covered 7 of their last 10 games as well. 6-3-1 to the over. Pelicans 5-4-1 to the over in their last 10 games. One more thing to look at real quick. I'm not betting the game, just sharing insight with you guys. Milwaukee is 5th in offensive rating, 12th in defensive rating, 20th in pace, and 25th in strength of schedule in their last 5 games. The Pelicans are the 3rd worst offensive rated team, 14th in defensive efficiency though, 15th in pace, and 22nd in strength of schedule. So both of these teams have been playing a pretty weak schedule. Milwaukee has been by far the better team. I can't get to 15 though. 15 is a lot. And the injury report is indicative of, the spread moving, especially when 3 starters for the Pelicans are on the list. So that's my thought process there. Dawan says left all out under on Giannis rebounds. They taking him out potentially. Yeah, I can see that. And one thing about the Pelicans, they're not a bad rebounding team either. Like they actually can rebound the basketball, especially if Misi plays. they're not a bad rebounding team. They're bad at a lot of things. The Pelicans actually are number 2 in opponent offensive rebound percentage. So they're not giving up a ton of offensive rebounds. And it's been like that for the full season, honestly. They're just not a bad rebounding team. So yeah, I couldn't talk you off a little Giannis. I'm not betting it. Kuzma gonna have a field day. I think I fade him usually though. Tamwan says Bucks team total over for Tariq. Bucks been balling lately though. Yeah, but 16 is a lot. Plus you got the Detroit Pistons tomorrow. You just beat this team without Giannis. I could see a complete look ahead. This game reminds me a little bit of the Pacers playing the Wizards the other day. So the Pacers were playing the Wizards. The spread was 18.5. The last time the Pacers had played the Wizards in DC, they beat them by like 45. It was like 162 to 109 or something like that. And then the Wizards are winning the game in the fourth quarter. That's what this kind of reminds me of. Who the Wizards got? Nobody. So I wouldn't be laying this big of a number. It's time for the backup center to step up, Chris. We'll see. Pelicans lost by 4. They just played last week. Yeah. Did they lose by 4? They end up covering that game, I think. Yeah, I wouldn't be playing the Bucks in this spot. Even with Giannis being in, I wouldn't be playing it here. All right. That's the show for today. Recap, which I didn't update. These are looks that we talked about yesterday. 2 of the looks that we talked about yesterday. What I bet today was Minnesota and Memphis under. I got 233.5. It's still I see it down to 231.5. But it's still some 232.5 out there. It's actually the only thing that I bet today. The other things that I would be looking towards betting, I really don't like the New York and Detroit game at all. I really don't. But I do think that Indiana can score today. So their team total over 120.5. Atlanta, Brooklyn, we talked about a tons of reason why we should like the over. So even with the total moving 4 points, I'm not going to bet it now, but I would lean towards a 230. If you can get a 230, that's great. 230.5, I think is also probably pretty good. I would also be taking the points with Brooklyn. Brooklyn plus 13.5. And I think Pelicans. I can't lay that many points with the Bucks. So I'd probably be looking that way. Also, in that Minnesota and Memphis game, I do think Minnesota is the right side. Minnesota, which they flip now. Now they're the favorite. It looks like their consensus is they're the favorite now. So Minnesota, we'll just go money line. But if you can get a point and a half, I think that Minnesota does beat Memphis tonight. I really, really do, man. I'll think about it a little bit more. Probably won't play the same game twice, but yeah, you can get Minnesota's flipped to a favorite. It looks like on every book that I have access to, 1 or 1.5 point favorite. So it's just the market's just going back and forth. I do think Minnesota's the right side though. So whatever. Remember that Jackson. What I say, Jackson like? Jackson likes Ja Morant up and over his 25.5 points in this game. So whatever it is that you're betting, man, best of luck. Resources are all listed here. Check them out. Outlier, Money Baller, Jackson, OddsJam, all of those different resources to help you with your handicapping process to be profitable, with your sports betting endeavors. That'll be the show. Best of luck. I will catch you guys in the morning. I'm out.